What's up, weirdos? Shade Tree Surgeon here. I'm up here at Tampa Triumph hanging out with my boys KJ, Bobby, of course Dylan Yamagang himself in the back. This is a series that a few of you guys will be familiar with. It's something you've seen me do a few times before where I'll go to a dealership and I'll find the cheapest bikes that they have for sale. People forget that you can go to a dealership and not buy a brand new motorcycle. There are other things for sale here. Speaking of Yamagang, here he comes back there. He's putting together some 2020s for you guys who are big spenders. But today isn't about the big spenders. It's about those guys who need something a little more practical, a little more affordable. Maybe it's your first bike. I don't know. I just like to showcase the fact that you can go into a place and not have a ton of money and walk out with a bike that's pretty darn nice. It might even be the bike you want or the style of bike you want. And I do these videos and people kind of complain about them because it looks like I'm just selling bikes, but I'm not. I don't get anything from this besides making the video. What I'm doing is showing you that it's not as hard as you might think to get into motorcycles. It is actually incredibly affordable. And as I've said many times before, it's way more affordable to get on a motorcycle as transportation than it is to drive a car when you factor in insurance and everything else, especially here in America, where car insurance versus motorcycle insurance is astronomically different. It's so expensive to own a car. All right, so KJ didn't know I was coming, so this is just the stuff that they had here. I said, show me a couple of your cheapest bikes. What do you have for sale? This isn't stuff that we had pre-planned out at all because I want this to be kind of indicative of, hey, this might be on the lot at any given time when you walk into a dealership. So let's go see what they got. Heading outside to check out the first bike on the list of used bikes here at Tampa Triumph. I'm going to show you in. Look who shows up. Tampa's own Flipknot. Hey, weren't you in that one video on Shade Tree Surgeon's channel? You're famous. The first motorcycle on the list is kind of a classic, and it feels super weird to say that 1995 means it's a little bit of a classic, but I don't know, it kind of is. It's a very iconic bike. This is a 1995 Speed Triple. This is one of the motorcycles that really made Triumph when Triumph reinvented themselves in the late 80s, early 90s. Was this Speed Triple is the bike that really freaking just was a home run hit for them. But let me tell you, this thing is absolutely immaculate. Somebody really loved this motorcycle. It's only got 16,000 miles on it, and let me tell you, man, this is just, it's perfect for a bike from 1995. It's just immaculate. Nothing looks like it's wrong with it. Of course, you know, there's like some little plastic pieces that might be a little sun faded here and there, but overall, this bike is in perfect condition for a bike from 1995. I mean, you see older bikes with low miles that look like they've been whooped on because they've been left outside. Not the case with this one. And by the way, you probably want to know how much it costs. If you mention the video, you got to say that you saw it in the video. They're letting this bike go for $2,500. And for $2,500, I mean, yeah, it's from 1995, but the thing's immaculate. It's got brand new tires on it. These engines, these old triples, are freaking bulletproof. They run forever and ever and ever. That's why they made Triumph so popular back then. But enough yapping in front of this camera. Let me go ahead and grab my helmet. We'll see what it's actually like to ride this motorcycle around. Little piece of Triumph history, which I really dig. But for $2,500, you don't even really have to care if it's a piece of Triumph history because it's just a really good bike that you can get for cheap that's gonna be reliable, cheap, affordable transportation. I really just can't get over how freaking clean this thing is. And funny enough, that's the previous owner of the bike standing right over there. Well, let's see what $2,500 gets you. And ooh, yeah. This seating position is a little aggressive for me. Starts right up though. It is a carbureted bike. I want to say I think these things originally came with regular bars on it, but these clip-ons are, I mean, hey man, if that's your style. If it isn't your style, I gotta imagine it won't be too hard to convert it back. Well, some people like the clip-ons. Oh yeah. That's a familiar feeling. I've spent so much time on a triple, I will tell you, it's just as familiar to jump on a triple as it is a twin. They all accelerate, especially these Triumph triples. There's kind of a certain way that I really like. Oh yeah, this thing ain't no slouch. This is a 1,000cc triple, you know, it might be from 1995, but
It ain't slow, that's for sure. Oh yeah, let me chill out. This thing is like deceptively fast. Maybe not the best beginner bike. Oh, stop's good too. Oh, stop's really good. Nice. What damn good brakes for 1995. I just go through the rev range really smooth. Like, as I said before, these old triples that they came out with in the 90s, this is really what put Triumph back on the map and kind of brought them back into being relevant again. I know, and this specifically, these old speed triples, these things were kind of iconic for Triumph. Even before they reintroduced the Bonneville in the early 2000s, this was their bread and butter, man. I'm not used to looking down for my mirrors with these little bar ends on the clip-ons. But you sport bike guys will be used to it. As I said, I don't know if I would really recommend this for your first bike, but if you've ridden before, if you got a little bit of experience, for $2,500, you were getting a heck of a motorcycle. So I ride it around even longer. I'm just really like, this is $2,500, man. I can't believe. Because everything works so well. It doesn't look like crap. Nothing's clunky. The transmission shifts smooth. It's fast. The throttle is smooth. The brakes are great. I mean, it's not like it's a $2,000 motorcycle and it kind of sucks. This is a $2,500 motorcycle and it's freaking awesome. I had to come do a few Triumphs and bikes like this. I didn't want you guys who don't ride cruisers to think I was annoying you, you know. I do a lot of cruiser stuff, but I know not everybody who's looking for an affordable bike necessarily wants to jump on a cruiser. So here you go, man. So not only is it a big naked leader bike for $2,500, it's a freaking Triumph, you know, when it's just something that's a little bit different. So yeah, you can find Japanese sport bikes for pretty cheap too. But the thing about this, when you show up to the scene on this bike in bright orange, you're going to have something a little bit different. And that's always kind of why I've liked Triumph and why I like my Rocket 3. And I've always been a little bit of a Triumph fanboy, because when you show up, it's just a little bit different. You got something that not everybody else has. In that same vein of having something that not everybody has, even among Triumph owners, this is going to stand out, not only because of this orange color, which I really dig. I don't think they make anything in this color anymore, but because these bikes are actually, compared to other Triumphs, a little bit exclusive, because how many 90s speed triples are still around? I mean, you're actually, I wouldn't call it classic, I wouldn't call it vintage, but future classic? Can we go ahead and give it the future classic title? Maybe. I don't know. It is a nice bike, though, and even if you're not buying it to be a future classic, this is just an awesome example of a cool, affordable bike that is really, actually very, very nice. So one of the reasons I make these videos is to show you that, hey, if you've only got a couple $1,000s to spend, the bike that you get doesn't have to be a piece of crap. This is a nice motorcycle. I don't care who you are. This is a nice bike, and it's been on the road for this long. Stands to reason it's going to be on the road for a few more years after that. All right, so maybe the clip-on wheelie boy speed racer style isn't for you. Maybe you want something a little more practical. So let's go take a look at this 2010 Triumph Tiger. Obviously there's a bunch of used bikes here. These are just the ones that I personally picked out, as I think these are good deals and ones I want to showcase. This is a 2010 Tiger with 19,000 miles on it. It's the big one too. It's the 1050, and they're asking $4,500 for this. Now, again, that's a pretty big jump. That's $2,000 more, but it's a whole heck of a lot newer. And of course, it's got brand new Michelin pilots on it. That's actually really nice. It's got better brakes, better suspension. It's set up with tour packs already. So no, it's not going to be as cool looking as that bike, but $4,500, man. This is a pretty cool machine, you know. And I actually like that it's not the crazy off-road version, because I like to ride my dirt bike off-road. And this is, of course, I'm sure you could take it off-road, but it's more of a sport touring than it is a dual sport. No carburetors either, so I mean, you're getting a lot more bike. Yeah, it's $2,000 more, but it's a 2010. It's fuel injected. Ooh, goes good and it stops good. Always important. Always make sure your brakes work. Oh yeah. Oh, this makes me miss my Ducati. I miss my ADV / sport touring bike a whole lot, just because this is like the SUV of motorcycles. You get this big, awesome, commanding view of the road. You're up tall. You can see everything. You've got these big, wide bars that are really comfortable. It's just basically like a long-legged speed triple, really. It's got the same engine as a speed triple, that 1050, but this bike is just made to eat miles. And boy, it feels like it. You just get on it and start moving down the road. It's got this windshield. I'm like kind of in a little bit of bubble. There's a little bit of turbulence, but like in a good way that I'm getting kind of cooled off. This would be awesome as a commuter if you got your legs are long enough. I mean, you know, this isn't a beginner bike, but if you've got long legs, I feel like you could get away with this as your first bike as long as you're a grown man who's going to be responsible with it, because it is still fast. Like, it is still a leader bike. It's 1,050 cc's. This is not a slow motorcycle, you know? This is ready for your adventure, man. 4,500 bucks. And how much does a brand new adventure bike cost? Like 20 grand plus? Maybe if you get a cheaper one, like 15, 16, $4,500, you're going to be able to do everything they do on this bike. Even though the motors, I think this one is updated from that old one. I'm not sure when they changed the motor. I'm pretty sure it's updated in 2010 though. It's 15 years after 1995. So, I mean, this bike feels a lot more stable, a lot more planted, just like a lot calmer, even though it probably is just as fast as that other bike. It's just as fast as the 95. It just feels so much more calmer and sedate. Just a nice, polite English gentleman out in the country for a stroll. Even though this gentleman walks softly, I tell you, he carries a big stick. What? I didn't realize how fast I was going. Deceptively fast, especially with this fairing on it. This is why I like adventure bikes. And when I say adventure bikes, what I really mean is sport touring bikes, because yeah, you can take it off-road, it's got long suspension, but what that does make it is it makes something that handles incredibly well. It's got plenty of ground clearance, but it's great for either commuting, like this is your everyday bike, or it's also great for long distance traveling. It's way more of a do everything bike than true adventure bikes with knobby tires on them, because how often are you really going to be going off-road? If you're like under 5'10" or so, you're going to have a hard time getting even a tiptoe down on this bike. But you know, if you're over 6 foot tall and you're a responsible rider, I guess this could be an awesome first bike. And for 4,500 bucks, hell, you could even finance this thing. If finance a bike at $4,500 would cost you less than a smoking habit. Actually, with the price of cigarettes nowadays, way less than a smoking habit. Definitely the more responsible choice. You know, you're not going to look as cool on this bike, but for a lot of you guys, it's not necessarily about looking cool. It's about having an awesome bike that can do a lot of things. And as I always say about Dad Jeans ADV bikes, you know who thinks these bikes are cool? Other dudes. So maybe this isn't the bike for you if you're trying to get laid, but this is the bike that I would probably choose between the two of them. As much as I like that Speed Triple, if I had to make a choice, it'd probably be this Tiger. Yes, it's dorkier. Yes, it's got bags. Yes, this just screams dad. But if it was my money, even though that's a very cool bike, I'd probably spring the extra couple grand and try to get this motorcycle instead. Okay, I've done two very affordable bikes, 4,500 and 2,500. Sport bike-esque naked bike, adventure touring bike, but something else caught my eye. You know, I originally just came here to test ride Triumphs because I did those other videos where I test rode a bunch of metric bikes and I test rode a bunch of Harleys that were cheap, but I've never ridden a V-Rod, and they have a used V-Rod out here, so I'm sorry, man. I couldn't say no to that one. I forget what year this V-Rod is, but it's only got like 7,000 miles on it. They're asking $8,900, so it's definitely more expensive than the other one. I love V-Rods. I know V-Rods, they catch a lot of flack. A lot of people think they're so ugly. I've always found the name funny, you know. Knucklehead, Panhead, Shovelhead, Blockhead for the Evo. And these, of course, since they were water-cooled, were called the Toilet Heads. But I have always had a soft spot for the V-Rod because it's so out of character for Harley-Davidson. I think it's so cool. It's just a really, really awesome engine. They were actually designed by Porsche, believe it or not. That is just... It never sold because, unfortunately, when people think Harley, they don't think this engine, but they discontinued it. I always thought that was a shame because this is a very cool motorcycle. Of course, I always say it's a cool motorcycle. I've never actually ridden one. And people have been asking for this too, so here we go. Shade Tree Surgeon's first time on a Harley-Davidson V-Rod. Sounds good. Everyone complains about the way the pegs are, that they're forward controls. I don't think I'd want to change them. These are actually quite comfortable. And once you're actually sitting, they look forward. When you look at the bike, they look like they're way far forward, like you're going to be stretched out or something. But now that I have my feet on them, the seating position does not feel really like forward controls. Funny, maybe Harley-Davidson actually... Oh! Whoa, where was I? Maybe Harley-Davidson actually knew what they were doing when they designed these controls. Why didn't this sell? This is an awesome bike, and I know it's got a huge cult following. Like, dudes who love the V-Rods love V-Rods, and a lot of Harley guys hate V-Rods, but why didn't this sell? How lame is that? How lame is it that they discontinued such a cool freaking motorcycle? Honestly? Oh, you know what? I'm used to... I'm not revving it high enough, I think, because I was like, oh man, it's not as fast as I thought it was going to be, but I think I just got to give it up to the higher up in the rev range. In that respect, it really just reminds me of my Ducati. There we go. That's how you do it. Oh yeah, it wants to have its neck wrung, which I like, man. It really actually, it reminds me of my Ducati Multistrada in cruiser form, which I guess would make it remind you of the Diavol, but I've never ridden a Ducati Diavol. It's actually really comfortable. I don't know why. It just, from the outside looking in, it looked like it was going to be uncomfortable, but it's not. It's not uncomfortable. This is nice. Well, there you have it. Shade Tree Surgeon finally rides a Harley-Davidson V-Rod. There was literally tens of people asking for this day to come. And I finally did it. What's the verdict? I like it. But I've always kind of liked the way V-Rod looks, so I always thought they'd be uncomfortable. It's not. It's fast. Of course it's fast. But it's a great bike, man. Good on you. If you like V-Rods, good for you. This is an awesome motorcycle. I can absolutely understand why somebody doesn't like it. It doesn't really look like a Harley. It doesn't ride like one. It doesn't sound like one. It just happens to say Harley-Davidson on the side. It's almost a shame. It feels like this bike was kind of just doomed from the start because it says Harley-Davidson on it. Like, because it's great. It handles great. It's got good suspension. It stops good. It's fast. I think it looks cool, but, you know, when it comes to those love it or hate it, any bike that really divides people, I usually end up thinking it looks cool because I like ugly motorcycles. I just call them motorcycles with character. $8,900? No, this one ain't free. Definitely not free. It's the priciest motorcycle I've ridden. It costs as much as the other two put together and then a couple bucks more, but I don't know, man. I couldn't resist. Sorry. I always gotta add in one that I like on my affordable motorcycles. I guess $8,900 might be affordable to someone. I mean, oh man, I like it though. I'm not gonna apologize. They said I could ride whatever motorcycles I want, so I said, yeah, I'm riding the V-Rod.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and wrap up this video. 3 very different motorcycles up here at Tampa Triumph, but except for the last one, all affordable bikes. And that's kind of what I wanted to show, is that it's not that expensive to get into motorcycles, or maybe it's not as expensive as a lot of people's videos make it seem. Like, trust me, I love riding around $25,000 motorcycles on camera. It's great. I like showing people what those motorcycles look like, but I also realize that a lot of people who are watching my channel who don't own a motorcycle currently are looking for something that they can actually is just realistic for them to purchase. And that's why I make these videos, because I want more people on motorcycles, because I love bikes, and the more people that are riding bikes, the better it is. So give these guys at Tampa Triumph a call. I'll have all their information, the address and the phone number down in the description. Tampa Triumph, they're good people. Ask for KJ. He'll take care of you. But make sure you tell them that old Shade Tree Surgeon sent you. And as I was saying, they're not paying me to do this. I'm not getting paid for this. They didn't ask me to make this video. I called them and asked them, can I make this video? And it's because I want people to see that it's not that hard to get into motorcycling. It doesn't have to be a pipe dream. You can do it. So like I said, $2,500, $4,500, and yes, they do finance used motorcycles. It's a reality. It doesn't have to be a pipe dream. So if you're looking at a $20,000 motorcycle that's your dream bike, and you're just like, I could never afford this, you got to stop thinking like that, because just get yourself on two wheels. You can still get a nice bike for pretty cheap. Anyway, till next time, y'all, keep it weird.